It's just very bad in here.
This is no good. This is a terrible place. I feel like I'm falling into the ground here. I think the demon lives in here. And there's this darkness with the demon. It's horrible.
And how would the living be affected by that?
It makes people evil. I think a male died here from this thing. I don't know how, but I think that this thing killed a male.
Another thing caught my eye in research. One of the previous owners of Nancy's property died in a tragic car accident back in the 70s. I'm heading over to meet a retired LAPD officer who dug into the case file for me. She says there was no justice for the victim. So, Cheryl, I appreciate you helping me out with this case. Before we get to the accident, what can you tell me about the victim?
Alice Landsman is 29 years old, California native. She and her husband, Mark, purchased the house that you're looking into back in 1973.
Okay, so they purchased my client's house in 1973, but I know the accident happened a few years later. What exactly happened?
So on January 11th, 1977, at approximately 10:30 p.m., Alice was driving about 3 miles from where she lived with Mark. She entered the intersection and was broadsided by another vehicle. The other driver was driving about 70 miles per hour at the time of impact, and it was so intense that it literally knocked the engine out of the car that was being driven by Alice at the time.
Really? Did she die at the scene? What happened?
She did die at the scene. She suffered brain trauma, fractured skull, and according to the coroner's report, she punctured her spleen and her liver.
Wow. And this kid got hit really, really bad. It's almost a good thing she did die immediately. Now, what about the driver that hit her? Did she get hurt?
Actually, she did. She received facial lacerations. She was transported to the hospital for medical treatment and was ultimately arrested there for felony manslaughter. But according to the records, there was no indication that she ever served time.
It looks like the case just got dropped.
Just went away.
But there was no justice for Alice because she never served a day in jail.
Correct.